Thank you so much. Good to see you.
And good to see you. How are you getting ready for your first American adventure as Thanksgiving?
We are excited and curious. I'm not sure we're going to have much turkey because it's going to be International Thanksgiving with my sister, who also is international South African, married to a American, Asian American. And then, of course, our side is German and Vietnamese. So that is going to be very mixed. So let's see. I expect some good food. I don't think we're going to have the traditional American Thanksgiving food. Maybe,
Well,
fortunately, don't know.
well, enjoy it. One thing I will say, having been in America during Thanksgiving and then Halloween feels much bigger to me. Halloween's insanity. The amount of stuff people put outside their house, it's wild.
Yes, that is true. It was amazing to see. Halloween was amazing. I think that was like actually not as crazy as I thought it would be. It wasn't like super duper commercial or I don't know like hyper. I mean, of course, we're living in this family neighborhood, and it was just trick or treat, like super cool to meet all the neighbors and all the kids. It was quite cute. Yeah, I mean,
But the,
if you're when you're a dad now, you find this all very cute, so it's
yes,
nice.
yes. But the effort some people go to put the stuff outside their house, that's
Yeah,
pretty incredible, right?
yeah, for sure. All right, welcome back to the One More K podcast, episode number freaking 56. Woohoo! We're on a roll. We're back into it. Welcome, Ned, back to the show.
Thank you very much. And one thing to say, I know it's just me and you today. We have quite a few guests coming up from America coming soon. We can discuss a little bit more about that afterwards, Marcus. People are like, yeah, not this week because it is America week. So we have some very cool guests coming up from stateside. We have a Singapore guest coming up to talk about the state of how to bring a team like Singapore into the running. But yes, today, me and you talking about the
It
wonderful world.
is. That's right. It is the Thanksgiving special. There are a lot of turkey trots going on. You know that thing, turkey trots. There's these
I
runs. Like it's a national thing here to do. I realized.
Is it? So I know exactly what it is. It's normally a 5K. I
Mm.
assume it's the day after to run off the turkey. Is that right?
That's right. That's right. However, they've been already the last 5 days. I think since last weekend, basically, there have been already turkey trots going on. So it seems to be they're just every day now is a turkey trot. I see it everywhere. Yeah.
And there are some, not that you could make a living at doing the turkey trots, but there's some prizes at some of these things, right?
Yeah. It's a serious thing, and you have to buy tickets, and you can win prizes. And I see people now trading some tickets because they can't go, or they already have too many and too many overlapping ones. So it's good. Yeah,
A uniquely American thing, which to me is like the one-off of the park run, right? It
yeah,
is a community. Everybody can do it. Doesn't matter if you're a real runner or not. Let's go. I think it's wonderful.
yeah. Park run. I read it's now several thousand going for the park run in Bushy Park in London, the OG park run. That
Oh, that's been a
sounds.
thing for a while.
Yeah,
Hey, look, we talked about backyard, we talked about UTMB, we talked about Ironman. Like the origins of all of them are just a few people doing something. And
yeah.
correct, Bushy Park Run was a group of friends just went for a run in the park. And because it's OG, I actually think it's more than it's been a few thousand for a while.
Mm.
I imagine it's probably struggles with a bit of crowd control.
Yeah. Probably. It's one of the things you can't find here at all for some reason. Like there's only one park run in the whole Bay Area, which is
It's
20 million people. Mm.
It's well, it used to be in Chrissy Field. I've done it. I think I told you I
Yeah,
did it. I did
yeah.
Chrissy Field under the bridge. Is it still in the same place?
No, it's now in Palo Alto,
Oh,
down
that's miles
south.
away.
Yeah. It's quite far. I can't. For me, it's like 1.5 hour drive. It's way too
Can
far.
we maybe before we get into our topics today, just a quick question: why has parkrun not caught on in America in the same way it has caught on in the rest of the world? Any thoughts?
What I heard, it is regulations. So regulations and like it's not easy to get permits. Apparently, that's one thing I heard. The second thing is that I can only assume, but I don't know the full reason here. It's like the people might have different plans on Saturday morning, so they already have something planned, and or they have a run club already. So run clubs already were quite big here in America for the last 10, 15 years. So maybe run clubs have been bigger. What's been gaining traction now is the Friday donut run. So that's becoming a new thing. I saw here more and more people, more run clubs doing Friday donuts. So you go for a run and then you have a donut afterwards. That's the new thing.
I am a
That's
fan of
more
runs.
American. That's more
Donuts.
American.
That is more American. I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
runs. I like donuts. I think that's the reality. These certain things catch on.
yeah,
Somebody starts them as a small idea, be it park run or whatever, and
yeah.
suddenly it's all the way. Well, and just to finish off this little thread, will you be doing a turkey trot?
I'm going to. I'm doing a football match tomorrow.
Oh,
So I'm actually. Did I ever tell you I'm a pretty good soccer player,
I was about to
football
say.
player?
I
Yeah.
remember that you for a
Yeah.
while that was in your mind as a young man to pursue that. I do remember
Yeah,
very
I
much.
almost had a professional career starting out as a teenager, and anyway, so I found a cool gang here, and so we are doing tomorrow. Yeah, I'm excusing it myself in terms of it is my interval training, is my soccer games. So it's how I look at it. As long as I don't get injured, that's the only thing you need to be careful about.
Are you defense midfield or
It's friendly, so it's just 7 aside or 8 aside. So I'm the guy who runs the most. By even after 3 games now, I'm known as the one who runs the most. So like, okay, I take this title. That's fine.
good? Take it back in your heyday, Marcus. What was
I
your
was
aspiration?
I was a libero. We call it in Germany. It's like the
So
middle defender. Yeah, the ones who also then moves into the middle field. Like Lothar Matthäus, a famous German player in the 90s. Like he was like the prime example of a very good defender slash midfield player.
well, we don't. Yeah, absolutely. Like the playmaker to a degree. One thing I
Yeah,
would say, and we have not discussed this. I'm not a. I mean, I like football, soccer. What do you call it in America? I don't know if you noticed, but Scotland managed to qualify for the World Cup, beating Denmark in overtime. Being Scottish, we haven't been for 28 years. I think we all love sport. And I don't know if you saw last kick of the game, halfway line, kicks the ball in the goal. So cool.
I didn't see it. Okay, okay. Well, besides backyard, you have a second favorite topic to talk about, which is David Roche. You're also a massive fanboy, not just of Lazarus Lake, you're also a fanboy of David Roche. And so one of his disciples just won the JFK 50, Hans Troyer. So, Ned, tell us all about this, because I got a lot of messages suddenly from you saying, "Oh, Hans Troyer," and then 5 exclamation marks, and so on and so on. So, Ned, why don't you share your excitement from last weekend?
I David Roche put up a post to say that he thinks Hans Troyer will dominate the sport for the next 15 years. Full stop.
Mm,
Now,
mm,
of course, we can, if we want to be critical, we can be self-serving. It is his athlete. Why am I excited? As you know, Marcus, I can be a fanboy. I watched a documentary. I believe it was called The Kid, and it was by a nutrition company called Hyperliquid, who about a couple of years ago noticed that there was a young man called Hans Troyer living in a camper van in the middle of the woods who no one knew, and he came out and ran, I don't remember what race, quite a famous race, and beat Jim Walmsley's time. Like, and no one had heard of this kid. And people were like, so they Googled him and were like, wait, what? He's got no sponsors? Like, who? Wait, what? Like, who is this guy? And he then put on Strava something like, take that, Jim. He didn't really know the sport. Like, he didn't really know it. He wasn't trying to be a douchebag. He just didn't really know it. He comes from track and field, mid to late 20s, I'm saying. The documentary was fantastic. It really was. Wait, this kid's just turned up. And here's the story. He's full commitment, like full commitment. He came from track. He's then decided to live in a van. Marcus, you would love this. Do you know his baguette thing, right? You know his slogan is the baguette. He had
yeah.
no money. He lived in a van. He would go to the supermarkets in America and wait till the day-old baguettes were down at $1.60 or something, because it's the most carbs. Talking about David Roche, bang for buck, and he would buy this cheap food to get it in. Really just wonderful documentary story about him. And he's then managed to create this following on social media, with some phrases: young and fit, bet on hands. What was the other one? There was another one there. So the excitement is this: he's got a combination of actual results, like real results, winning JFK, second fastest time in history. I actually found out, Marcus, why it's called the JFK, and we can talk about that. It might be obvious, but it may not be as obvious as we thought. He's put up an amazing time. He's fully on the David Roche bandwagon of high carbs. He's got an incredible social media presence. He came 8th at Western States, and he still lives in a van. I think it's great.
Wow. I mean, I only really came across him not because of him necessarily, but because people were like, in one of the live streams, were just posting baguettes all the time, all the emojis. So like, this guy has a major cult following, where just people just post. I don't know if it were bots. I don't think we're bots. I think we don't have reached that scale yet in the sport, but there were people just baguette after baguette emoji, and like, who is this guy? And then wow, Hans Treuer. So it's actually interesting. I feel like it's the first person in our sport who has like this cult following. Like, if I would say this, like, he has a hardcore fan base, like Taylor Swift style hardcore fan base, where people just talk about him, and just it's crazy. They meet up about him, they make reels about him, they make Instagram about him. It's like they just talk about him, They idolize him.
He's done. We're going to talk about pro prize money because I listened to Finn Melanson's conversation with Tim Tollefson about this. But Hans is a guy who's taken it into his own literal hands. Whether he thought about it or not, but what he was able to do was to absolutely use social media. And I think he does it from such a genuine place. Like, he's just so excited about it. Like, it's genuine. He's so excited. This is what he does. He can't believe he's able to do this. And yeah, have you watched the documentary, The Kid?
No, not yet. No, not yet. I heard about it.
It's very good. And, he's also, I think, he's a bit of the Steve Prefontaine, right? Like, front runner, go for it, wild man. But he's also incredibly enthusiastic and happy. And I don't know if you'll see at the end of every race, one of his crew throws him a baguette, and then he has the baguette, he takes a bite. Like, he's a cool kid. But did you see his average pace? 3:48 per K.
I saw it. Yeah, that's crazy. Oh man. So anything about the race you want to mention? Like, how many carbs did he have or anything?
I didn't get into it, but I absolutely believe, being on the David Roche side, he is 4 or 5, I can only imagine 400 or 500 calories per hour, over 100 to 125. So I imagine, being from the David Roche school, being a guy who batters at the front. Were you aware? You haven't seen the documentary. Were you aware of Hans's rhabdo experience?
No.
He nearly died. Ooh. Straight up, unconscious, in hospital, on virtual life support, after running a race 2 years ago. He was running hard off the front with not enough electrolytes, not enough fuel. This is the reason, I think. I can't say why he chose David Roche, but I think this is the reason. His rhabdo experience. He ran super hard, passed out at mile or kilometer 80, because he's got this phrase. Young and fit, these are the times, bet on hands. But his point is, I'm young and fit, these are the times, right? Let's go, like right now. And he, without enough experience, he charged off the front of an ultra, took himself into dehydration, went home, passed out, blood coming out everywhere, went to hospital, lost, can't remember, 15, 20% of body weight. Listen to him on the podcast. He was on Finn Melanson's podcast, Single Track. Like, he said, the hospital said he might die. Like, straight up.
Wow. Okay.
And took him 6 to 9 months to come back, a year to come back.
Oh, wow.
And then he said he realized, I'm scared that I'm going to get rhabdo again. Like, I need to fuel properly. And I can only imagine that the David Roche mantra of, ultra fueling, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Was very, and I think that's part of his story. Look, this kid nearly died. He lives in a van. He's incredibly excited by life.
Mm.
He races
Well,
off the front like Pre. You put all of that together, yeah, I think he's the next superstar.
he's sponsored by Ultra and by Coros. Interesting. Also, Ultra. Interesting that they seem to pick interesting athletes. Ultra. They're not like your typical athletes. I would say they're very selective. Maybe due to budget. I don't know. Which I mean, I don't know. They're part of this huge conglomerate. So, but yeah, they have these specific athletes. Ultra. Anyway, should be interesting. We should talk to the Ultra guys as well. I would like to understand why they pick those people. Yeah.
Interestingly, and again, we'll talk about this when we talk about pro prize money. Which brands for which athletes? Where do
Yeah.
you go?
Yeah.
Is it poker, which is massive? Is it ultra, which is, niche? Good
Yeah.
question. Why he goes. But
Yeah.
if you watch the documentary, The Kid, Hyper Liquid, when they found him 2 years ago, he was like, I live in a van and I eat stale baguettes. I don't have sponsors. Like he had nobody. And they got him
Yeah.
for nothing.
I should ask some of my athlete friends here, do some research on this. Like, if you are a good athlete these days, like Hans Scheuer, you can probably pick your sponsorship, your brand. Let's say, especially a shoe brand, which I think is the biggest one these days. So, let's say you have your Brooks, you have a Ultra, you have of course, a Hoka, and On, Adidas, maybe now Nike approaching you. Like, how do you decide who to go for? Besides the money, of course, money is a big one. But like, I'm wondering what's cool these days. How is this? How is this? Who do you go for?
Okay, so Marcus, let's riff on this for a second. We've asked this before, so we're covering a little bit of ground. You know the top two sponsors of the Olympics, right? McDonald's and Coke, right?
Sure.
Let's say you were a top level ultra trail runner. I know you're a very talented runner, but neither of us are top level. What if McDonald's come to you and said, "Here's $1 million per year to be a McDonald's runner"? You taking it?
It's so hard to answer this question because I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a businessman. I like to believe I got my resources in place. So like $1 million? No, I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't do it. No, 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 no. I mean, that maybe tells you more about my Lecka trajectory right now. But but I think if I would be 25-year-old, which I used to be 12 years ago, and so on and so on, and I come out of college, I live in a van, I 100%, 100%. I would like, let's talk at least, let's promote maybe your vegan low carb burger. I don't know. I only want to be shown in certain advertisements, not in like it, but you know what I mean. I think there's a conversation to be had at least. Yeah. Mm.
And how long until that comes in? Not long. We heard Stephanie saying brands are knocking on her door. I'm sure it's not
Yeah, yeah,
McDonald's.
yeah, yeah,
I'm sure it's Chorus or Hoka or whatever, but it cannot be long. On TV, Ford, we've talked about this. Ford has trail runners as the advertisement.
yeah,
It is
yeah,
not
yeah,
long till somebody puts enough money on the table for somebody to go, sure, I eat Big
yeah,
Macs, perform my best. Big Macs, the fuel of champions, right? Somebody's going to do it.
yeah, yeah. But if I have a choice these days, I would probably go for Ultra or for On, just because I like the brands most out of all of the ones that mentioned. Anyway,
Sure.
you mentioned JFK. You teased me a bit there with like, where did JFK come from? Yeah, we have to clarify this now because it's been on my mind the last 10 minutes.
Obviously, John F. Kennedy. So no, I'm not giving away secrets there. It's been 50 years old, this race. So in the, I suppose, 60s or 70s, it was the government's idea to promote trail racing around America to improve the fitness of society. There was a concern from the government on the fitness of the American society. So under the banner, what's the right word? Under the presidentship of JFK, a series of JFK races around America was population to take part in races. So it was a government initiative to improve the health. And while most of these races died out, the one that remains is the JFK. So that is the history of these. There used to be, I can't remember how many. I read this on I Run Far, and that's why it's an iconic race, and that's why it's so long, because it was initially government sponsored.
Huh. Wow, look at that. Interesting. And now you have his nephew being the health secretary, whatever that means. I mean,
I,
he's
I,
promoting health again. I mean, I'm not gonna die. I mean, you have all these videos going viral these days where RFK Jr. and others are doing pull-ups and push-ups all the time.
Look. Let's not. We're not a political podcast,
No.
a broadcast here. I think you love America. I love America. We love it, but we've both riffed and we sat and we talked as we drove between Tennessee and looked at the takeaways. We love America, but your average food availability for people is not going to make Americans healthy.
Yeah, that's right. Pro prize money. What's going on with the pro prize money? We talked about it already 2 weeks ago. Anything new you want to add to our conversation about pro prize money?
Okay. Can I? I'm going to take a breath in and a breath out before I rant. And I think maybe we can announce this now. We are happy to have Finn Melanson agree to come on our show, and we feel I feel both of us. I think we feel very lucky. He is one of the boys. I think Finn has some great conversations. So Finn had Tim Tollefson on just a couple of weeks ago, and on my run yesterday, I listened to Tim and Finn talk about the state of the union of ultra. Is it good or bad that UTMB buys our races? Is it good or bad that people don't make much prize money? Where is this going? And all I could think of, I wanted to and to be fair, Tim finally said it at the end. He said, I don't think we really need to guess. It's what happened to Ironman, and we're going the same way. And it was a really interesting, the prize money level is not acceptable. Tim made this clear on the show. Tim also said, I'm not giving anything away here. He knows, how do we pronounce the founder of UTMB? Michelle, the founder of UTMB.
Yeah.
Until 10 years ago, there was no prize money, right? And still, even coming 10th gets $1,000, right? Now, you cannot get to UTMB and Chamonix for $1,000, right? Your flights and accommodation. Ironman went through this exactly the same phrase. So the question I wanted to bring up, and something new, is this. Do we need champions in our sport? Because Ironman, after a while, decided they didn't and just went no pro Ironman and went one and done. They just got people in, churned them out, charged them $1,000. The money is made from the regular Joes like me and you. And Ironman has moved their business model, I perceive, and they have talked about it, to the champions aren't the money. You want to be a champion, go get your money from your brand. I don't think we're ever going to pay our proper prize money in our sport.
All right, let's try to digest this a bit. Where does the prize money come from? Like, we're talking about money. So money has to come from somewhere. So I would argue, let's say 3 revenue streams, and we can talk about this again in more detail, but there's, of course, the entrance fee, there's the sponsorship, and then there's probably some kind of tourism support from governments and whatnot in cities and so on. Just broadly
Can I add one more? Mm-hmm. There's merchandise as well.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, fair enough. So I have a thesis as well, and this is also maybe important for UTMB. I think UTMB so far has been much smaller as we think in terms of money. I think because we're talking ultra running, it's a very small industry. Like ultra running, we're like this few dudes running on the mountains. We're thousands of us, UTMB is just very good with marketing and very loud. And we ourselves, all these 5 podcast people and all these, we're just making it all louder and all louder and all louder, It's actually, I think, sponsorships, I would guess, there's probably, I do know, it's $500,000 to $1 million a year only for a sponsor, like for a sponsor. It's not much. Not much. And so then the race fees the participation fees has been also very low so far. $100, $150, $100 is not much. And again, not much compared to Ironman or other things, But all these events cost money. We've been hearing this from various people, like you don't make money. So I think the prize money so far is also a result of less money coming into it. There's not enough revenue or profit to be made to share with athletes. That's my thesis. I don't want to defend UTMB. Ironman. I don't want to defend UTMB, but I think that's also just the result of how it's actually a very small business, but it's just hyped up on Instagram, on podcasts to just a huge thing. But I mean, we know the numbers from 2023. I think it was 7 million in revenue, and it's tiny. It's nothing. This. Like it's insignificant, And probably Ironman bought in with like 3-4 million stake. It's not much. You and I can do this. We can raise money from friends. We can do this. You know what I mean? It's nothing much. So will it change? Yes. And now back to you, Ned, because you've seen Ironman change. I'm sure you've seen that $100 participation fee in the 90s going to, what is it now, $750 or something like this, right?
1,000 at the top end, yeah.
Yeah, 1,000, right? So will UTMB go there? Who knows? But it must go there, if the prize money will go up and vice versa. It's highly linked together.
Well, really good point. Money has to come from somewhere, right? 100%, right? Money just has to come from somewhere to make this happen. Absolutely. The question is, it's a really good point. The perception of our sport and the reality are two different things, right? Completely different things. I suppose it comes to this. So I think your point is right. There is, and so will entry fees go up? Yes. For example, I know. And to be fair, Finn and Tim were not picking on UTMB. They both said we have negatives and positives. But in general, the view was that it's unlikely that they will get paid a lot. But then it was an interesting, so good point. Maybe, so question, could UTMB raise its price to $1,000 and still sell out? I personally think yes. They would take a lot of crap, but I think they would sell out.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is right now. Do you know what the entry fee for the actual UTMB is?
I am not that elite to know. I would say right now, I'm guessing between $150, $200, $300. Yeah.
I think I'm guessing it's already $350, $400. I'm guessing. I don't know. But even elsewhere, you're right, $100, it doesn't make sense. But what else could they do? Sponsorship, it's getting more merchandising. But here's a really interesting thing. The biggest paid race in America today is Run Rabbit Run, right? And it doesn't attract elites anymore. So they were discussing why. Why doesn't it attract elites? What's going on? Why doesn't it attract, right? Where is that going from? Ironman, I think, figured out in the end that even if, is it nice to have Jim or Courtney or Killian at a race? Yes. Does it mean that if you don't have those, other people won't come? No. So Ironman went with a lot of non-pro races, i.e. it was just amateurs, pros couldn't come, and they separated it out. And they noticed that apart from like the hardcore people, like, me, you, and the people on the podcast who want to see Jim, Killian, Courtney, Phil, most people don't give a crap, right? And so my comment on price
I think we can't have only a conversation about prize money if we can't talk about the business model, because for me it's all linked together, and like it all is like linked, like these like NAC, these sponsors, they don't pay that much, right? And they're small brands, and then at the same time I just checked the average the entrance fee for UTMB is 439 euros, right? So it's already quite high for the main UTMB in France and Chamonix.
So that's what, 550 US?
Well, yeah, yes. I mean, right now it says 464, but I don't know why it's getting it wrong here. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, and how many people go? 2,000. So that's $1 million, right? It's not a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the question is how good. So to answer your question, where does the money come from, Markus? I think it comes from what we used to call in Ironman the one and done, right? They want to do it. They go, and they made a very good point. Europe can have more races because they have 2,000, but Western States only gets 357. Hard Rock can only have, 100? Big says 75, right? America with the permitting of land. You know what they said? Here was Tim's take. You want real prize money? UTMB goes and partners with private land in America. Not they go to these private lands, people who own huge things, and put up massive prize stakes with huge fields because they don't. And he wasn't against. He said the greatest thing in America is the national parks, land, management. They love that America is safe from all of that. But he talked about, if we want to make real money in this sport in America and pay a winner $1 million, we need to go to private lands. So it was a really the conversation, exactly, Markus, was about the business model of it. And the reality is maybe, athletes have to go and get their money from brands, not from prize money.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, that's the thing where it goes. Where your Western states hard rock, they will never go after the big things because they just can't, and that's cool. I think that's why they stay grassroots and stay very exclusive in that sense. And yeah, UTMB and others will just go after the masses, and the people want to join them for the Medal of Honor have done it. Yeah, and then they're willing to pay for $1,000. Yeah.
Tim made a really interesting point. He said for him up front, he gets this amazing run through the mountains, seeing the mountains. He said, if you're middle of backpack, you're in a conga line for 30 to 40 hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, let's see where it goes. That's interesting. Okay, yeah, it's good points. Well, we can't wait to fit on the show to talk about this a bit more in detail.
It was great. It was a great conversation. And I think it's this existential point of our sport. It is growing so much. And how does it work? What does it mean? What is prize money? How much should we pay? Do we want to pay $1,000 for UTMB? Are we happy to pay less? Do we want pros? The growing pains that Ironman went through.
Yeah, just looking at the economy in general right now, I mean, I think anything, it would just get more divided. You have more and more cheap things like your turkey trot or your 5K park run and whatnot, that's going to just increase because people just have less money to spend on these everyday things. But in the same time, people also have lots of money to spend on these very, very expensive, exclusive, highly experiential races. So it goes either very, very, very premium or very, very, very low key, very basic. I think the middle would just go away. And so you have these marathon majors, which are getting 800,000 applications, like these top of the notch things, very premium destination driven races. But then you have your free or cheap 5K or your park run, right? So I think that's where it will go. There's no space in the middle. Like just like with cars or watches or handbags, this is where the economy will go to. I 100% believe that.
I absolutely agree. If you think about it, 60,000 people at the London Marathon, what do they pay?
Yeah.
$200-300 to enter. Now you're making money.
I mean, how much did you pay to go to your backer? I don't have to say the number now, but I know your number, and it's been freaking crazy how much you paid for your experience in freaking Tennessee. It's crazy.
Look, I paid $150 for the entry fee to last. But the reality of 10 days in America and flying from over the other side of the world. Hey, Markus, me and you torched what? $500 in Walmart in an hour buying.
Yeah. You bought me a very nice bed too. No, it was just an air bed on the floor for $38. But no, I mean it's no, but what I mean, like, it's all of this adds up, right? All of this adds up, and it's a lot.
It's a bit like Gary Robbins said when he had that big bust up with UTMB. He actually was trying to measure the economic impact to the town of his races. He's like, guys, these people who are coming are staying in $200-300 a night Airbnbs. They're going to the cafes. They're spending money. They're flying in. Like, in general, as much as we'd like to pretend that ultra is a sport that anybody can do, to put on a pair of trainers. You want to go and race, man, you better be making some money.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's the reality of our society, I believe, in the world, not just our society, any society in the world, that people are spending more and more on these experiences, and tourism is a big part of it. Yeah. A topic of the last few weeks has been this idea of athlete versus influencer, and you posted a nice phrase, I believe, that I can just read out loud here: is all athletes are influencers, and influencers can be athletic. Do you want to highlight or emphasize or elaborate on this, please?
Kudos to Finn Melanson. He had Alicia Clark on. Alicia Clark works, a talented runner working, I believe, at Norder. I'm not sure, working at one of the trail brands. Very thoughtful commentary. And she said that phrase. And it really, actually, Markus, when somebody says it stops you in your tracks, I was running, listening, and it almost stopped me because it was such a beautiful phrase.
Alicia Clark, you mean from the On Runner?
Yes, the On Runner, correct.
A friend of mine. I know her quite well. Yes, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. She's an unofficial Lecka athlete. One of those that, she's sponsored by. She's not sponsored by Lecka, but she is. She's definitely a Lecka athlete. Anyway, please go ahead.
Oh my God! Well, Markus, I'm very happy to hear that, because she was on Finn's show. Yeah, she was on Finn's show for an hour talking about different viewpoints, being in the industry. So she's both been she is a talented runner. She also works in the industry, and she was talking And she actually, so different topics, but there was a snowboarding guy. I think his name was, I can't remember exactly his name, and he wrote an article about what is the reality of athletes and influencers. And she said this phrase, and it literally stopped me. All athletes are influencers, but influencers can be athletic. And what the parallel she was trying to draw is that, in olden days, athletes could only influence by results. You had to be 1, 2, or 3 on the podium. Otherwise, you're nobody. Whereas today, you can influence, like you mentioned, Matt Choi or other people, influencers, the guy from Satisfy that I think about, Michael Versteeg, or even Ricky Gates. Let's face it, Ricky does, content. And look at today, Anton Krupicka. He for Ultimate Direction, he does his beautiful videos. And it was a really, she tied it in with the prize money conversation. It is, we look down on influence. Oh, it's just an influencer. But this, I think, is going to be the heartbeat of our sport. And it was phrased in this way, is that, and maybe I'll ask you, is it even important to place 1, 2, or 3? Of course it is, for Jim or Courtney or whatever. But that's such a tiny amount. Is your reality, you want to be a pro athlete? There's almost no choice now. If you can't be 1, 2, or 3, the other bucket is influencer.
It's interesting. You can look at it from a different perspective, that it's about the democratization of competition.
Explain. Go on.
As the internet breaks down everything into wider parts, you can argue. Let's talk about the news. I mean, we all know that podcasts and newsletters and YouTube are democratizing the news. So not anymore just your mainstream media, the BBC and whatnot. It's now anyone can just have an opinion. And maybe internet as well is democratizing competition. And you have always your podium, but anyone can be a champion these days. Anyone can be a hero with internet, and that probably plays into it as well. Where you mentioned Prefontaine and others, the media, the mainstream media, or the 2 TV channels at the time can only talk about the top 3 because that's just enough for 3 minutes to cover. But now you have people like us and others covering anyone and everyone who's just having a great story, right? So I think the media is democratizing competition in our sport. Yeah,
I think it's a great point. Yeah. We can all have our own opinion. It's a completely separate topic. As I heard somebody say, we have our own opinion, but we can't have our own facts. Well, that's to be debated, because apparently we can these days. But your point is right. I like your idea. Markus, actually, I think your comment there, the democratization of our sport, in that you can be middle pack and still be as relevant as the guy that finished first.
Correct. It's all about what does the audience consider to be the best or to be the most relevant, right? So maybe not the person who is the fastest, because that's how the laws of physics are determining who is number one. It's just very simple. The laws of physics, man. But laws of physics don't determine your emotions. Like they don't. Time doesn't matter for your emotion. It's your emotion is like, this person lost 30 kilograms and was overweight and now finished a marathon. That is for a certain audience much more important than laws of physics. And that's where internet or media, or like social media in this case, really creates these new benchmarks, like and relative emotions.
I think it's a great point. And I think our sport is so good for storytelling.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I mean, anything these days where good stories are being told that works. Right? I think that's just we're living in this whole age of storytelling. Like, it's just like this democratization of storytelling. You can even go outside of the sport. You can talk about anything, like whether it's even politicians who are now good at storytelling, or you have, sport, of course, you have education, you have pop stars. It doesn't matter. Like, this is all about how do you tell your story the best. But definitely we can see it in our sport. It's getting very active in the last 10 years.
Absolutely. So yeah, that was my point. It was a really thoughtful bit by Alicia Clark. She read this story by a snowboarder who now does kind of more, snowboarding stories, big mountains, etc. And this idea that, athletes influences the crossover and how it is. It just a random thought came into my mind. Do you remember 2 years ago when Courtney won UTMB and there was that amazing moment in halfway through where she was mobbed by all of the fans and the dinosaurs? I wonder what got more views, her getting mobbed or her finishing. It wouldn't be surprised if her getting mobbed got more views than her cross, because we've all seen people cross the finish line, right? I wonder if she actually got more views from getting mobbed.
The question also is again, when did she get more views? Probably the finish got more views in the moment, but in the last 2 years, you have seen more images of her getting mobbed with those fires and stuff than the finish line, right? So whatever, then the best story will then continue to be remembered.
Yeah.
And that just, going back to the Roman Empire, you know that the emperors or Julius Caesar was very famous. He was the first one who was very famous to use his head on a coin, which was basically creating a legacy of his marketing. So you know what? I know if I put my head on a coin, then I will have generations to come will remember my face. That was just the way of how do you tell the story the best way that remains to be told for future generations to come, right? So maybe not the finished picture of Courtney to Walter is irrelevant. Maybe the moment gets the most views, but for history, it's not that picture, the other one.
I did not know that about Julius Caesar. That's fascinating. That was his thought,
Yeah.
like put the head on the coin.
Yeah,
Wow.
or like Napoleon was radical in his use of newspapers and used newspapers dramatically, of course, to put his name out there. The American founding fathers, Alexander Hamilton, and so on, they were like actively writing in newspapers to promote themselves, right? Just to hey, we want to tell our stories. So whenever there's a new medium coming along that is now getting more political, you democratize information, right? That's really what it's all about, right? And these days, we're democratizing information in our sport.
I'm glad we had a good conversation about this, because when I heard Alicia say that phrase, it really struck me that there was so much to dig into it, because it was such a beautiful phrase, right? Sometimes somebody says something that just captures it so beautifully, and I really thought it did. Yeah. So to link it back to our prize money conversation, I think the reality is for all athletes, even if your Hans Troyer at the front or Jim or whatever at the front, your ability to be an influencer in whatever way you think about that is critical.
Yeah, that's also why I think prize money doesn't really matter that much, because even if you are mid-pack and you tell a good story and your video gets like 100,000 views, you make maybe more money from Nike as a sponsor than winning $10,000 from the prize money. I think it's important for the ones who abide to the laws of physics, who want to be the fastest. That's great. They still get the money. But who abide to the law of emotions, they get more money from other people. Yeah. So emotions always pay more than physics. I tell you that one.
That's, oh my God, dude, we have a phrase: emotions pay more than physics.
Yeah,
that's actually that's a nice phrase.
Yeah. It's Elon Musk learned it the hard way as well. And he is a big believer in physics, but also he learned how to handle emotions. Yeah. Anyway, yeah,
it is true.
Yeah, it's true.
What else do we have?
Well, I think I just wanted to, shameless plug here, of course, talk a bit about Lecka and how we get into the US. Because I don't want to make a marketing story here, but I think it's relevant also to talk about the sport and to see what I'm seeing here from the inside as a businessman. And it's been interesting few months actually. And I think kind of adding to the story I've just been telling you, or the facts I've been telling you, is that the storytelling is key, right? And it's no surprise. Like, how do we differentiate ourselves in this massive market of nutrition? What I'm learning, what I'm hearing from shop owners, specialty shops, and so on is there's a new wave of new nutrition coming to the market now. So we're not the only one, of course. You're never alone. We're always moving herds. We're always sheep somewhere. I haven't really seen much yet, but apparently it's a lot of new brands coming to this market, and a lot of them are trying different approaches, whether they are going more functional, like even making it more functional, like really specializing on, I don't know, let's say ketones, but that's already old, but you know what I mean? And the other one, of course, is going really anti all this performance stuff. So coming back to this democratization, like less competition in that sense, more enjoying life, more having a good time. So it's less about this like hardcore performance. And I'm truly biased because I would say Lecka fits into the camp of enjoy your life, don't push yourself into the competition only. But I'm told that this is the trend anyway, and sport shops are actively looking for the alternatives. Spring Energy has a very tough time. I sometimes on the phone, I mention the name and the brand, and then people are like immediately very negative and say, "We don't mention this word here in our sphere." They really effed it up,
Well,
and it's fascinating to me how 1.5 years later, I forgot, it must have been 1.5 years, something, they just still have so much bad rep in the community. Yeah.
Well, first of all, to your first topic, that how many more performance gels can a running shop have,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They don't need 50 of them, right? Because in the end of
Yeah.
the
No,
day,
no.
they're all relatively much of a muchness. And our sport, as you correctly say, physics, only one person can win, right? Only one
Yeah.
person is fastest. And,
Yeah.
and there's only a small percentage, single digit of the field that believe they can win. The rest are out there for, as we say, the shits and giggles, right? Having fun, doing it, enjoying it, right? And things, because it can be intimidating. I remember when I started running and I saw, a goo, and it would like push to the front, and I'm like, well, but that's not me. I'm not sure. I've got a bit better over time, but something that would say, enjoy it. It's a really good point. I hadn't thought about it that way. We've always talked about it, performance food, but maybe the performance is the wrong word, as you're saying. It is. I don't know what the word is, but there's a word that is not just performance, but it is
Yeah.
helping the adventure.
I think Precision Fuel Hydration, Precision, the brand
Sure,
with those colorful
of course.
stripes, they're really starting to own this space. I can see it. Never Second is probably just second. Haha. Yeah, so those two. And Mountain is always there, but yeah, Mountain actually, I think, is losing some of the ground from what I can see in here. They haven't done much, and they're just the same. Yeah.
Morton, however you pronounce it. To
Mm.
me, I mean, honestly, I don't really think about gels much now. I just take Leccas and some Tailwind, so I don't really think about stuff anymore. So because that's my go-to. But Morton strikes me as it would be intimidating. This is a phrase like some of the, Morton strikes me as, oh, it's a combination of carbs and gel and protein and this. If you're a beginner runner, you go to the shop, you want something simple. I wonder, Marcus, do you ever see people say beginner gel? Is that a word you've ever seen on a gel packet? This is a gel for beginners.
That's true. No, we have not. I have not seen that before. No, no, that's true. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And let's face it, where's the biggest market? The beginners or the experienced? The beginners.
yeah, yeah. Well, the lifestyle, I call it. Yeah, but yeah, 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 yeah. But yeah. And so on spring, anything you want to comment on that one? Because that's. I mean, I just be very clear on publicly. I have nothing on spring, and I always say also, hey, we're in the same camp. We're trying to get people to real food. So spring and I are in the same corner. So I don't talk badly about them. I'm just sharing what I've been hearing here.
Well, I am surprised to hear it because normally,
Mm.
things roll over. Okay, they effed up. That's life. You move on. What I'd like to comment is this. I maybe not exactly the same. The theme of our show today is storytelling. I think they got it wrong because from my recollection, they tried to kind of not deny it, but make excuses and what they should have done is what Kentucky Fried Chicken did which I still regard as the most famous advert ever put out. They ran out of chicken in their shops. And, how can you be a chicken shop with no chicken? And what they did was when it finally they put out a full size advert in the paper and it had the picture of the bucket. Instead of KFC, it said FCK. And they wrote, we up. And they had no excuses. We're a chicken
Yeah,
shop
yeah,
without chicken. It's not good enough. And what they basically did said, we got it wrong. Absolutely. And there was
yeah,
not a one shred of excuse. And it came back. Whereas I remember Spring going, oh, no, dudes, I don't know. There was half the number in there. So I'm sure they're good guys. I'm sure they tried their best, and I'm sure they just effed up. But
that's the thing,
personally,
though.
that's
I
me
think
just.
that's what I'm. That's again, this is what I'm hearing, and that not just about Spring, by the way, also other brands. Is the market has been growing so much, it's gotten so big that they stopped caring about the small shops, and so
Wow.
that tells you a lot about the market as well. Again, there's some larger retailers, the chains here, America. Um, the big brands, I call them big brands now, focus on those. I call up all these small shops, and there may be 1,000 something in America, and they say, "Yeah, we haven't this brand stopped selling to us. We don't know who the rep is. They don't call us anymore." I'm like, "Wow, really?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, that's why I'm calling you right now." So innovate. What did my wife say? Those spaces are giving room for innovation. And these niches are good
But
for new brands. Yeah.
Markus, you are a fan of history. I know that because
Mm.
I've spent time with you in America. I know that because you talked
Mm.
about Julius Caesar. But surely, falls of empires grow, fall down, people attack the empire, new
Yeah.
people come.
Yeah.
Maybe one day Lecka's the biggest fuel in the market. Everyone will be like, "Oh my God, you're a dinosaur market." Imagine in 20 years' time, and Lecka's the biggest thing on the planet, and this little shop is like, "Yeah, Markus used to call us. He doesn't call us anymore. It's not because
Yeah.
you're a
Yeah.
bad dude. It's just And
I
so
know.
it is that, like history, the rise and fall of, be it empires,
Exactly.
brands, or anything, is maybe just how we
Yeah,
are.
no, that's correct. That's what it is. But yeah, but I think that's also what I'm saying. My first point is that new brands are coming in now because the ones who've been around for 10, 15, 20 years are caring less, innovating less, and so on and so on. So that new guys like me come in. So I think it's cool timing. It's good timing. It's great timing in that sense. I enjoy it, of course, and I'm excited about doing this here. Than, for example, in Asia, where we're building the market from scratch, like we are amongst the first ones to do something, right? And so it's a very different experience. But yeah, I think that's some of the insights that I'm seeing. Of course, the female segment is extremely big, and that's where we're focusing on kind of unintentionally. It just happens this way. And we get a lot of good feedback from that side too. That the female sector is great. Yeah, but anyway, so I'm now it's winter coming up, so the season's slowing down a bit. But we are excited for next year for sure, and I think
Well,
I'm learning a loads every day.
I was so happy to see your message. As people may know, I know Marcus can tell, but I'm not going to say I'm a sales guy. It's what I do for a living. And Marcus was like, I called a shop and they picked up and they listened to me and they heard me and now they're going to buy my stuff. I'm like, I love that so much because that's good old, everyone's trying to AI sales, and good old Marcus is just picking
No,
up the
man,
phone, calling a shop and asking if, and chatting. And it's like, this is how it works.
and it's amazing how these real stories really work. Like in telling them in person, ideally, or over the phone, is amazing. And like this guy said, "All right, I like it. I will give you my order right away. So just what's how much do you need? Where do I pay? How? Okay, done, perfect. And then it was done. It's like, wow, this is like 5 minutes. It's done.
Marcus, isn't that little thrill when you sell something, you get off the phone,
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of almost as good as a nice little run, right?
For sure, it is. It is very exciting. Yeah. So, yeah, real food, real stories. I think even with a company like ours, I can still see it. AI is making it just too easy, and people also, of course, know it. Oh, this is AI. They don't care.
So I was talking about AI not being the front line of sales, and somebody put this beautiful comment. Hi, I care so much about your business. I got an AI to write you the email for you.
Mm.
If you actually
Yeah, yeah.
cared, you wouldn't get an AI to call you or email you.
I mean, I think one word of caution there is that AI will matter a lot. If I have an AI agent selling and the shop has an AI agent buying, then they can talk to each other. No problem. There's all these agentic sales. I think will happen, but as there's one human involved on one side, you can't do it. But over time, you might have certain businesses, maybe not our business, but other businesses who have AI buyers and AI sellers. Then they will just talk to each other. There's no need for humans anymore, especially for like large volume or high frequency stuff. We would
100%.
so yeah, yeah. All right, Ned, I'm sure you have something prepared.
I do. Well,
Then,
yes, I do. And perfect timing because I have to drop in 5 minutes. Oh, I have to drop in 5 minutes. Perfectly. Okay. So I haven't told you this. Well, I've told you, this, but I'm going to make a little thing. And so, as people know, I write a little drop for poetry at the end of each of these sessions. I think I mentioned to you, Marcus, I put it together in a book. I have a book of it, and it's all laid out. I'm getting the design done, and I will be releasing it. I just chose a random date because it's a few weeks away to get it all nicely designed and packaged, and I'm going to put it online with blah, blah, blah. There's something called Kindle Direct Publishing, KDP, where you can just publish
yep,
directly. So
yep,
January the 15th. So January 15th will be the day that my little book will come out. We'll have approximately 40 of the stories in there, and it will be on there. So and partly partly because, well, I've been thinking about the book a lot. And I was looking at it this morning. I'm going to choose my favorite poem from it to read. I'm going to add a few more poems over the next few weeks to read it. But today, so listeners, you may have heard this. If you are an incredibly keen listener to One More K, you may have heard this poem before. But just to say, a book called One More K will come out, which I hope you'll enjoy. And from that, let me clean my glasses because they are super dirty. I'm very good at keeping clean glasses. Let's go. Okay. This one is called 100%. It is chapter 5 in the book, and it's called 100%. Let's go. 100%. Have you ever given 100%? Like all of it? What is all of it? When you are tired, exhausted, delirious, unconscious? I am fascinated. Why do people stop? It's almost always a choice too early, in my opinion. People stop at 80% because it hurts. Yes, it's supposed to hurt. If you want comfort, watch Netflix. The growth is in the joy of the pain. The pain is the joy. When people say during or after a race, I don't know why I do this. I want to rip my hair out. I scream, then don't do it. Don't complain about the pain. You have no idea how lucky you are. This suffering is amazing. You should be smiling and pushing on, not complaining and pulling back. Finish line, pah, pointless. That is the worst part. Unless you have found 100%, which you didn't. Why? Because you are listening to this. I have never given 100%. I have tried. I will always try. Take a moment. Think. Last time you stopped? Why? Really? Were you actually done? Or you just told yourself to stop? It's not about your body. That's just a meat suit. It's about your soul. Live forever if your soul never dies. So don't let it die in front of Netflix, cake, and excuses. Build it out there, in nature, on the run. 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%, 100%, LFG. You know it makes sense. Don't be the 60% dude. I'll see you out there. Ned.
Nice. Yes, I remember this one. Actually, one of the good ones. A book is coming out. I can't wait. Oh, that's amazing. Okay.
So I've got some designs. I've put in the new poem. I've written a couple of new ones I'm going to read to you. Markus, and we can debate on this. I'm going to call it One More K.
Okay. I guess we don't have to debate on this.
I mean, we can debate, but I was going to call it Words to Make You Fly. And of course, I always appreciate your opinion, but obviously I like the phrase One More K. We like it. We know we like it. I think it is everything that we talk about, right? A little bit further, One More K is a little bit always more. Oh, and just a note, as we think about it, should we restart asking people their One More K story when we bring them on the show? Remember we had that for a while?
We should do that. Yes, we should do that. Yes, for sure. Yeah, okay. Nice. I like it. Let's do it. Oh, cool. Thanks, man. Thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to this Thanksgiving episode. Enjoy your turkey trots or whatever you're doing this weekend. And lots of love. Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll see you, everybody. Take care. Thank you so much.